The Newcomer is an unconventional murder mystery told from the perspectives of the victim, Paulina Novak, and her mother, Judy, before and after the fact. It's set in the early 2000s on a small island off the coast of Australia called Fairfolk. The Newcomer was my attempt to write the kind of crime novel I wanted to read. A novel where the victim, not only because of her death, but because of who she is in life, is really the force that drives the story forward and the most dynamic and interesting person in the story. I consume a lot of crime and true crime, and while I do enjoy whodunits, I think they can sometimes impose a false sense of order on crime. I think this is especially true when these stories are told from the perspective of law enforcement, who see murder as just a puzzle to be solved, and once solved, justice is served, balance is restored, life goes on. Because obviously for the victim, life doesn't go on. For the people who love them, there's always going to be a gaping wound where that person once was. There's no justice because crime is a permanent injustice. While I do have the question of whodunit throughout most of The Newcomer, this question was kind of a Trojan horse to get people invested and asking other questions, like, who was she? What was her life worth? What does the world look like without her in it? And how do we live in this world? A world that so often seems chaotic and unjust. When we first meet Paulina, it's New Year's Eve, 1999. She's 27, she's recently gone through a bad breakup, and she's a bridesmaid at her friend's wedding. She's also very, very drunk. We quickly learn that this is not unusual for her. She's a heavy drinker, she's a messy drinker, she's a confrontational drinker, and she has a lot of emotional baggage. The wedding is a total disaster for Paulina, and also an inciting instant for her to start a new life on a Pacific island called Fairfolk. While writing The Newcomer, I was preoccupied with this idea of perfect victims and imperfect victims. Paulina is both. On one level, she's young, attractive, middle-class, white. Because of these qualities, she's seen as fragile and worthy of protection, and her case gets a lot of attention. At the same time, Paulina is somebody who's seen as unstable, broken, promiscuous. She has a drinking problem, she has mental health problems, she takes risks, she's not afraid of conflict, she enjoys drama, she's disrespectful of tradition. These qualities impact the way her murder is perceived and the amount of blame that is attributed to her. I wanted to make the reader complicit in the victim blaming by having them follow Paulina's story as it happens, and seeing her behaving badly and thinking, oh well, she must have been killed because she did this. No matter how tolerant we think we are, we all want to distance ourselves from bad things when they happen. We like to tell ourselves, this couldn't happen to me because I don't act this way. Fairfolk Island is inspired by a real place, Norfolk Island, as the novel is inspired by a true crime that happened on Norfolk Island in 2002, the murder of Janelle Patton. When I first visited Norfolk Island in June 2018, I did not plan to write about the Janelle Patton case. But I did visit the location where her body was found, and was very affected by that. Then the day after I got back to Melbourne, news broke about the murder of Eurydice Dixon. A lot of conversations that were going on around that got under my skin, and I realised I wanted to write a victim-focused crime novel set on an island. At the same time, I knew I could never represent Norfolk accurately as an outsider. One man I met who'd lived there most of his life told me, I know this place so well, there's probably not a rock I haven't touched. That really stuck with me. I haven't touched every rock, I barely scratched the surface. So I chose the name Fairfolk as a way of making my inspiration clear, but also making it clear that this is a work of fiction.